Hello and welcome to this week's angling blog. This week you join me on the banks of Micklewrights Flash. It's a Sunday afternoon and we're going to be fishing the afternoon into morning for carp. As you can see, we've got the bait boat with us today, and today's vlog is going to be all about just fishing particle for carp. The only bait we're going to be using is particle. We'll go over the mixes during the video and hopefully we'll get a few more carp on the bank. Been on the bank from about 2 o'clock and we've already had 2 carp on the bank, as you can see on screen now. A lovely little common and a fiery ghosty carp that didn't half put up a fight. So back to the bank, and 2 of them fish did come off the right hand side rod to the back of the island, and yeah, a good start to the session. And I have to admit, it is a really tired daddy that joins you on the bank this afternoon. It was 2 o'clock this morning. I got back from the event on the River Severn for the blue light event, and a little kip and back bankside. So the aim of this session is obviously to chill out, relax, catch a few fish hopefully, and have a bit of fun. It's always fun when you're using the bait boat, and hopefully get plenty of prep for when we go to France in a month or two, because that is looming large. What we'll do now is we'll have a look at the bait that we're using and the setup that we're using and the spots that we're fishing to. So looking at the mix that we're going to be using today is the micro mix that we used on a recent session on here, and I'll put a link to the top of the screen now. But the mix has been improved in my opinion by the addition of some of the micro tigers. It really does add to that mix, I think, and is one of my favourite mixes that Cheshire Particle do. You've got all types of sizes of bait there, all in miniature and huge grubbing properties. It's already caught them 2 carp that you've seen on the screen. The rig that I'm using is a simple IQ rig with a size 6 wide gape hook, and as you can see I've got 3 pieces of corn on the hook. So hopefully them 3 pieces of corn will stand out over the top of that mix. Let's have a look at the spots and how we're going to approach it. So with a mix that small, with all the tiny little components, the only way you're going to get it out to your spots is via the bait boat. So be using that today. Now the right hand rod, with nobody fishing opposite us, we've got it about 5 yards off the island, and I've just been feeding that lightly purely because I'm only fishing it until a bit later on. I'm going to fish it middle of the lake later on, you know, when it gets a bit darker, because obviously don't want to be fishing tight to the island in the dark. The second spot is 7 wraps, and it's in line with that tree there, so I'm fishing round about where that scutch is. So I've only just put that bait out about 15 minutes ago, put round about 4 handfuls in the hoppers, and already, as you can see there, there's plenty of bubbling over where I've put that mix. So hopefully it won't be too long before we get a bite on that rod, and that's what that grubbing mix gives you. You can just see there it working. That's exactly where I've dropped the bait and fish on the spot. And I think you just saw Mr. Pike rampage through the shot. Mr. Pike does live in here and he's been very active. But no, right there you can see right where I've put that particle fizzing away. I've got a back lead on that rod, obviously, because you don't want to get tangled. So the left hand rod has got a back lead. When I redo the right hand rod, I'm going to put a back lead on that as well. But yeah, I must admit, can't take my eye off that spot. The plan for the evening was to have the front of the bivvy open, have a nice breeze blowing in my face and a cool night's sleep. What I didn't realise, I just opened my house to about 5,000 mozzies. So I've cleared them out and I've done the best I can to close the front up. So we've having a bite to eat before I come out. I haven't really brought much with me, with it being a quick overnighter. Nipped into Lidl, picked myself up a nice little apple turnover. And of course this time of year plenty to drink is essential. And so it's only a quick overnighter, we've got to be off, you know, got to be in work at my desk at home at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's only a quick one. So the rods are out. And I must admit, having Abby and Josh on the recent sessions has been enjoyable. You've been seeing plenty of Abby on the overnight sessions, but now I'll put a couple of pictures on of where my little man Joshy joined me on Serpentine fishing for carp. I'm absolutely amazed he stayed all night in the dark. He's a proper mummy's boy, and I was shocked. But little man, you really did me proud. Looking at the swim, it's getting on for about 7 o'clock. The wind's got up, there's a lovely breeze. I'm going to sit down, have a bite to eat, and just enjoy this Sunday afternoon fishing for carp. The only downside with the wind getting up is you can't see the bubbling on the spots. I've got one on the spot out there and another on the 7 wrap spot in line with that tree. So fingers crossed, you know, the traps are set. And sit back and hopefully we can pick up a carp. There's been a lot of activity down that end of the lake from the carp. When we got here there was 2 lads fishing, and I think one of them is staying on for the night, it looks like. I think there's 4 of us on for the night, including Mark, who's next door. So the plan now is just to sit back, have a bite to eat, chill out, enjoy this evening. It is a lovely place to wet a line. You got all the mysterious trees. There's a few snags to worry about down each margin, but I'm just going to sit back now. Like I say, next 2 hours I'm just going to see what them traps bring. Later on I'm planning to keep both rods at 7 wraps to make it easier. I'm going to keep that one out there and then this one at 7 wraps in front of me, directly in front, and it'll just make it easier fishing, won't it, later on. But for now, let's just see what these traps bring. So the far bank rod has just gone. Bit of a screaming take, the back lead come off the bottom and the rod went out. It is only a shallow pool, so you know the takes can be quite violent, and that's just coming over that little small amount of particle and fishing a triple maize stacker just on a simple knotless knot. Nothing complicated. Like, you know, in my fishing I just keep it simple. You keep it simple, there's less things to go wrong and mechanics that work. Hopefully this will be the 3rd fish of the session. We can get him in and take a look at him. So if you'll excuse the pun, I don't know how common mirrors are on here, but we didn't have any on the last session. But what a beautiful little carp that is, and a nice hard fight on the shallow lake. And as I said before, just coming on a triple maize stacker. Nice simple tactics, working well. Let's get the rod back out, get this beautiful fish returned. And the rig, like I said, simplicity itself. We've got some tungsten loaded tubing, a simple lead clip, we've got a Dinsmore lead, a short length of corduroy Q to a size 6 hook, and 3 grains of maize. So while sorting the other rod out, the left hand rod that was fizzing away is gone. A nice bream. Anyone who watches the channel knows I love to fish in a way that fishes for everything in your swim. Like with barbel on the river, fishing those small pellets, because it gives you an idea of what's going on in your swim and you can bait accordingly. So at the start of this vlog I did put a link to a recent vlog that I did do on here, and I made one big mistake. I got carried away with the bait. So on that vlog I was getting a couple of bites like we're doing now, and I just put too much bait in. So the bait's going back out, and over the top of that spot I'm literally just putting enough to get a bite. It's very easy with these bait boats to put a lot of bait in, a real lot of bait, and you've got to learn from your lessons. Don't get me wrong, there'll be a time maybe in France where you need to put a lot in, but on the last session it definitely killed it. So I'm just going to put a little tiny amount of bait out, my bait over the top, hopefully enough to get another bite. That spot over there has been fizzing like mad for probably the last 10-15 minutes, and sometimes you just know it's just a matter of time before they find your bait. I was just sat there looking at it, watching the fizzing, and then just waiting. And you know, sometimes the carping can be frustrating, but sometimes it can be really exciting, can't it? And that was just one of them. You just knew the bite was coming. It was just a matter of when. If anyone's new to carping, hopefully these vlogs just show you that in a world of, you know, rigs and hundreds of rigs and, you know, ways of fishing for carp, that simple tactics work. You know, knotless knots, nothing fancy, just simple rigs and, you know, getting your bait in accurate, which the bait boat does allow you to do. It is a great tool for accuracy, but the actual mechanics of the rig are very simple. 4 fish so far, 1 happy angler. Let's get it straight back. So with the bait boat out, ready to go back out on the left hand rod, the right hand rod has gone as well. Absolute manic, but great fun. I was just sat there putting the bait in and it just pulled off. Nice slow run. And one thing they do on here, because it's shallow, is they really do scrap a bit. It's great fun, especially when you get under the rod tip, and this one's one of those angry ghosties that just doesn't know when to give in. So as you can see, we're looking at a pair of rods and not Mr. Carp. Sadly, under the rod tip, like I said, he go mad under the rod tip. The hook pulled and he flapped his tail and said goodbye. And there we go, there's another one. So I was just saying there how sadly we've got 2 rods in the swim and no carp. Like I said, they come under the rod tip and they really do scrap, and that ghostie wouldn't give in, and eventually the hook pulled and he flapped his tail and said goodbye. As I was saying that, the rods just screamed off again. So we've definitely got the spot going, and hopefully we can get this one in. And like always, it doesn't seem as big as that ghostie we lost, which is always the way. So I got the rod back in after sadly losing that fish to a hook pull. It didn't take too long for the rod to go again. I've weighed this one, it's just under 11 pounds. So yeah, great fun and a great little scrap. Let's get it straight back and let's get the rod back out. So this is really a beautiful time to be on the bank. You got the last rays of sun just hitting that far bank, and it's just calmed down. The bubbling kind of calmed down on that rod. Still the odd one coming up, so hopefully, you know, some more fish will move in there. And that was a manic half an hour, you know, really quick action. And sometimes that can be how it is, you know, sometimes you get loads of action and then a quiet night. And I have to say, after being on the River Severn last night, like I've said, I wouldn't mind a quiet night's kit really. But you always want the rods to go, don't you? So it's a double-edged sword. But what a beautiful setting. So in the bivvy now, it's dark as you can see, the rods are out, and it's been quite quiet, apart from this bird. I'll let the video go quiet now, but it is constantly squawking, and has done for the last 2 hours. And if anyone's ever been Micklewrights, you know it's quite an open venue, and it just echoes around the pool, but it's constant. Hopefully I can get to sleep. Waking up this morning to a beautiful sunrise and just chilling out watching the water. It was a quiet night on the rods if it wasn't for the wildlife, but eventually I did manage to get a decent night's kip. All the gear is now packed away. As you can see on screen now, we've just got the 2 rods in. If anything happens in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll pop it on screen now. But if not, I'd like to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.